So, hello everyone. This is Mool Shankar Kothari, co-organizer of Abu Dhabi and Dubai meetup groups. Thanks for joining us today. This session will be recorded and will be uploaded in Hyperledger YouTube channel for future reference. We have divided this today's event in 3 sessions. For the first half an hour, our guest speaker will be giving the presentation. Then we will have an interactive session that I will be asking questions that most of the organizations and people ask about the blockchain solutions. And in the last, we will have a Q&A section where you can ask your questions. You can unmute your mic. You can also use the chat window to ask your question throughout the meetup as well. Thanks, Government Blockchain Association GBA UAE, especially Mr. Mohammed Shah Nawaz, for promoting this event. Today, our guest speaker is Mr. Misha Hanin, who is the co-founder and CEO of DeepDive and iRangers. He has 25 years of experience working in the field of information technology, and he has implemented very innovative and solutions using leading technology around the globe. Thank you, Mr. Misha, for joining us and giving us time to talk about risk and challenges in blockchain adoption. Especially, he will be sharing the thoughts and experience what exactly the enterprise need and why they are in wait mode in implementing blockchain till now. So I hope this session will help you to understand the risks and challenges, especially for the solution providers, the issue they are facing. What should be done to make blockchain implementation real? So stage is all yours, Mr. Misha. Thank you. And yes, you can.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Yes? No?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So thank you very much for having me here today. And I'm really excited to actually talk about this really hot and important topic. One thing that I would like to say at the beginning, I didn't prepare this presentation as a presentation of technical stuff. Okay, today I want to talk about risk and challenges that we see a lot when we interact with different enterprise organizations around the globe, and what we see and we consider as a big risk in the adoption of the technology. And it's not just blockchain technology, but today I will talk a little bit about that. So before I will start, let me just introduce myself. As it was mentioned, I'm a co-founder and CEO of DeepDive Tech and a company called iRangers. And right now we have branches around the globe in Canada and in the States, Germany, Ukraine, and here in Dubai as well. And I'm a Government Blockchain Association UAE ambassador, and dealing with technology for more than 25 years. I'm happy to declare that I was involved in a lot of technology projects around the globe, starting back in beginning of 19th actually, and I was involved in projects in Australia, China, India, South Africa, almost everywhere in Europe, United States, Mexico, Brazil, Canada. Now we have a really big blockchain project here in Dubai that we are running for last year. So let's begin with our topic today. And I really want to start with the first thing that I envision a lot of technical people and blockchain evangelists, I would say. They believe in myth that enterprises excited about blockchain. If you ask me, I wouldn't say so. And one of the reasons that it's not happening, I'm talking about excitement, it's really simple. Enterprises having challenge to even understand what is blockchain. We believe, like a lot of technical people believe, that blockchain technology faces obstacles. And when we talk about obstacles, many of us, especially people with a lot of technical background, will say that the biggest obstacles right now with the technology adoption, especially blockchain, it's a scalability, how we scaled this adoption, network speed. Of course, whenever we talk like technical people, when I talk to executives and enterprises, we're talking about network speed, we're talking about the scalability of the infrastructure, we're talking about IT cost. Okay, we're trying to emphasize that with adoption of the new technology, we can optimize the IT cost. The reality, at least the observation that we have, is a little bit different. I'm not sure if you guys were able to hear this, the sound of this video clip. I hope you know the reference. Unfortunately, what we see that a lot of enterprises, whenever we meet with experts in blockchain, whatever we say to them, they consider as a gibberish. They don't understand the word. They don't understand the concept. They don't understand technical aspects. We believe that whatever we discuss with enterprises, it's something really important to them. And we're talking about decentralization, we're talking about speed, we're talking about security, we're talking about all the benefits of the blockchain. And we believe that this is what enterprises really looking for, and this is what they really want to see when they adopt a new cutting-edge technology. And let's see what in reality happens. Actually, majority of businesses, enterprises, they do believe that blockchain will introduce the new business models and value chains. So they really don't care about blockchain, and it doesn't matter what kind of blockchain. They're really looking on something, on some technology that can introduce the new business models. So this is one of the most important piece that enterprises looking today. So if we, as blockchain evangelists, integrators, will come and will start talking about business models that blockchain allows to have, we will grab another attention, different attention, totally. A lot of enterprises talking about greater security. They were really willing to lower the risk. So it was many researches around the globe, and all those researches, plus or minus, coming to the same numbers, that businesses really looking to get new business models. They're looking to have greater speed compared to the existing systems. This is another angle that we really need to keep in mind when we talk to enterprises. They're looking for speed, and this is probably what we need to start our conversation from. Like when we talk about blockchain, really not to talk about blockchain. I would say we need to start to talk about business models. We need to talk about security that those new business models will bring to the table. Talk about speed. Greater transparency. This is actually a really interesting one. We, with the evangelist of blockchain, believe that one of the best features of blockchain is the transparency. Unfortunately, enterprises really allocate to this about 11% of all their importance to have this transparency. So something to keep in mind. And this is probably, I would say, one of the most important aspects, what we need to keep in mind when we try to bring blockchain to enterprises. What the real barriers that we are facing, and by the way, it doesn't matter in what region of the world, and it almost doesn't matter in what industry the particular enterprise is working. We see those challenges almost on a regular basis. One of them, it's regulatory issues. Many industries, especially big enterprises, they need to follow particular restrictions, particular compliances. And whenever we deal with blockchain, we will need to keep that in mind. And every time when we talk about blockchain with enterprises, this is probably one of the aspects that we need to keep in mind when we talk about blockchain. Okay, how business will stay compliant with regulators when they will adopt the blockchain. Another really big barrier that we see a lot. Okay, and we actually 2 days ago had a really interesting conversation here with one of our clients that they were bringing this constantly to the table. They challenge blockchain adoption with coexistence with the legacy systems. So implementation, they asking questions how the new technology, in our case it's a blockchain, will be integrated with the legacy ecosystems. We see this constantly on that enterprises have this fear that the systems are not going to be interconnected with the legacy systems. We're participating in a lot of events, a lot of conferences, and unfortunately, I personally observed one interesting pattern. A lot of blockchain innovators, when they talk about new technology, about stuff they bring into business, bring into enterprise, they do not mention how the integration will happen with the legacy systems. This is something quite interesting. And enterprises, they really want to hear this, how it will be integrated with the legacy system, okay? So really something to keep in mind. Potential security threats. I would say that we probably, all of us, doing not a so great job to explain to enterprises all the security potentials about the blockchain. We do hear a lot of complaints from enterprises that security, it's important for them, and they do not sure if blockchain will actually bring them extra security. They're actually considering that it will will expose them even more from security perspective. And we definitely need to do better job to explaining that. And my personal opinion, one of those concerns about security actually comes from all the stories that we all hear on the internet about crypto. Unfortunately, a lot of people nowadays still believe that crypto and blockchain is synonymous. And every time when we hear that some crypto exchange get hacked or something happened in some financial institute and some blockchain assets disappeared, it's actually raising every time the concern that enterprises have about security threats. The next one is quite interesting. This one is really not easy to discuss with enterprises. Uncertain return on investment, ROI. This is one of the questions that we hear quite often when we talk to executives about blockchain. They understand, actually, there is a really good statistics about that a lot of enterprises nowadays put blockchain adoption on their roadmap, and the percentage is really, really high. And they're willing to move forward. And even this year, it's even more than it was previous years. However, we still have the same question about ROI. What will happen with ROI when they will get the invested money in the technology back? This is quite interesting one, and we would consider this also as one of the barriers that we need to overcome. Actually, we need to help enterprises to overcome, and we need to do better job to explain what the ROI for them by adopting blockchain. The next one is probably also quite interesting one. A lot of enterprises deciding not to do anything with blockchain because of lack of in-house capabilities. They believe that local expertise, it's not enough to implement blockchain ecosystem. And this is quite interesting, and probably this is one of the steps that we need to really push forward majority of enterprises and talk to them about how people can gain the required knowledge about blockchain. And it's not just about technical aspects, how to write code, smart contracts, or anything like that, how to deploy mainnets. It's not about that. It's even more knowledge required about blockchain. This one, when I was reading the report, one of the last reports from Deloitte, this one actually was quite interesting discovery. A lot of people who tries to bring blockchain solutions to enterprises emphasize to enterprise all the benefits of blockchain, decentralization, all the aspects of immutable data, all the aspects how blockchain actually works without having centralized authority controls it, and so on and so on. The interesting fact that enterprises actually looking on this technology absolutely from different angle. Today, blockchain models organizations are focused on, actually majority, it's a private blockchain. Enterprises don't want to go with the public blockchain ecosystems. They're really looking for the private blockchain that actually deployed internally in the organization. On a second position, it's a permission blockchain. So they still want to be in a position that they control who has access or who can do some changes on the blockchain. So technically, if we will look on that, we will see that a lot of messages that many organizations around the globe trying to deliver to enterprises, all the benefits of the blockchain, not really heard by enterprises, because enterprises want to have different kind of blockchain. On the third position, it's actually integration with multiple chains. This is quite interesting one, because and actually I really finding a lot of similarity when I talk about integration of multiple chains with cloud adoption. About 7 years ago, I remember I was asked one question many times. Every time when I talk to executives from different corporations, one of the questions was, Misha, to what cloud should we move? And the question was always like, should we go to Google? Should we go to AWS? Should we go to Amazon, IBM, whatever, right? It was one of the questions. And I always had the really like I believe at that moment, quite interesting response. And it was really simple. I always said, guys, it depends on the workload. It depends what we want to have and what we're moving to the cloud. And I always declare that time will come when enterprises will have multiple cloud systems interconnected and working together in one ecosystem. Now, time passed by, and we have a lot of enterprises, a lot of our clients currently leveraging multiple clouds, multiple ecosystems. The client that I mentioned that we have here in Dubai has multiple clouds, like their blockchain is actually distributed across the globe. They have presence almost in every data center or Google data center and AWS data center distributed around the globe. Okay, and now they not even not satisfied with that. We're introducing additional cloud vendor where we will put multiple nodes there, and they will have a multi-cloud ecosystem. So coming back to the blockchain ecosystem, where we see now that some organizations already started to talk about having multi-chains. So it's not just one scenario when they where they use one blockchain. They're actually talking about leveraging multiple chains and build some sort of integration. I will skip consortium. Quite interesting one is decentralized applications. You probably heard a lot that decentralized apps, it's one of the best benefits that blockchain brings to the table. Unfortunately, enterprises, a lot of enterprises, don't really see this way. Okay, so we definitely need to be really careful with the message that we convey to enterprises and what emphasis we do on the message that we bring into them. So one of the questions, the most important questions you probably want to ask me now: what is needed to make blockchain adoption real? How we explain to enterprises that what we're talking about is really good and they really need to consider and move with it. First of all, I would say that they already understand that blockchain is something that they will be, I don't want to say forced, but they will be required to adopt. So it's just a matter of time. And my response will be really simple. What is needed to explain to enterprises that blockchain is needed? Probably the first thing we need to change, not enterprises. We need to change the message that we're bringing to those executives, to boards, to enterprises when we talk about blockchain. We really need to learn what businesses really looking for, what they're expecting to have, what they're paying. We need to do much better business analysis. So we need to change the message where how we talk about blockchain. We need to change the message how we bring blockchain solutions to the world. And it's not about technology. Technology is there, and blockchain itself already proved that it's a decent technology and it should be implemented by enterprises. So we really need to think about how we bridge the communication gap between blockchain people and businesses. So I think we need to start from this. We need to introduce different vocabulary, if we will, how we talk to businesses, how we talk about blockchain. and not about blockchain per se from technology perspective. Like for example, if you guys will do research and will find, and it's good that there are a lot of research is public information about blockchain adoption and by enterprises, we will see that none of those researchers technically talking about technical challenges. It's more about business to understand how this new technology can be implemented, how this new technology can be interconnected, and what the business value there. So this is something that I would say we need to change to win the game. This is probably one of the most important pieces right now. It's not technology. I would say that today, every time when we will step in to the meeting room with enterprise, and we'll start talking about blockchain from the technology angle, we're probably gonna miss this conversation. We are not going to move forward with enterprise, at least not easily. So let's talk about this, how we change this. Okay, keep in mind what enterprises really want to hear from us when we bringing to them a new solution, a new cutting edge technology. I actually wanted to really make this presentation relatively short, and my intention was to keep as much as possible time for the conversation, for questions and to have the open mic and hear your challenges, guys. And I will be able to will be honored to share my experience, how we deal with those challenges if we face them. So yeah, feel free to ask any questions. In the meantime, I will open, like I see that there's many questions in the chat that I will need to go through and we'll go from there. So yeah, feel free to open your mics and let's talk.
Thank you, Mr. Misha. It was really a nice presentation that you have highlighted the real challenges we are facing nowadays for the blockchain adoption. So thank you. Basically, I have a list of questions that mostly people also ask before going to the question of the audience, that suppose some people says that the blockchain, the guy who loves blockchain or who are now providing the blockchain solution, they always say like that that blockchain is like an internet with a huge turbo engine with endless high-powered fuel. But some people, the economists, says that blockchain is the one of the most overhyped technology ever. So, what are your thoughts? Is it really most overhyped, or we should wait and something best yet to come? So, what are your thoughts?
It's a really interesting topic. I do believe that blockchain is overhyped. Yes. Unfortunately, and it's actually really unfortunately to blockchain ecosystem, to real blockchain, majority of hype is actually comes from financial sector and crypto. Okay, so this is where the hype is coming from. I wouldn't say that there is a lot of hype about enterprise blockchain solutions. Okay, we barely hear it here and there, but it's not a lot. If we will talk about technology adoption, my personal belief that blockchain technology is actually something bigger than internet itself. Okay, and we will see a lot of use cases with the blockchain. When it will happen, it's another challenge, another question. It's not going to happen probably next year or next 2-3 years. Okay, it will take much more. And again, it's just my personal opinion. It will take more. However, the adoption will start, and I would say that adoption already started, and we see more and more cases about blockchain, and I'm really glad to see use cases outside of the financial sector. So, as an example, really proud we were selected as a vendor to help build a really big global supply chain ecosystem that will trace the recycling material around the globe. Okay, nothing to do with crypto. 100% blockchain solution. I'm really excited about the opportunity to build it and move with it. So yes, it will come. Another aspect that I really want to emphasize, and I also believe that it's true, blockchain, it's not a silver bullet. Blockchain is not going to solve any problems of the world. Not every solution, every problem can be solved with blockchain. Okay, unfortunately, I see a lot of people talking about blockchain from perspective, oh, it's a solution for everything. I walked away from conversations and meetings where I saw that blockchain is not needed for this particular enterprise. Okay, even though they wanted to have blockchain integrated and they wanted to move with it, they were unable to explain to me why they even want to have a blockchain. Okay, so they just wanted to follow the hype, but it's not needed. Okay, so as a summary, I would say, yeah, blockchain will come, will be part of our life, will be part of life of enterprises. Probably in 5-7 years, we'll see blockchain in some shape, almost in every big enterprise, especially enterprises that have a global scale, for sure.
Yes, totally agree. The blockchain is not for every solution, every problem, or we can't implement blockchain that it is new technology. We should go and check whether we really need it or not. So thank you. And second question, along you also mentioned in your presentation as well that along with many benefits like trust, transparency, and others, blockchain provides. But other basically for the enterprise, they think that it's very complicated system, and definitely speed is the thing to worry for them, for the enterprise. So how, being a solution provider, we can satisfy them with the current possible solution available? How we can provide the solution in this situation?
I think whenever we talk to enterprise, one of the most important pieces that we really need to emphasize, how the new system that we're going to build will work in coexisting in conjunction with the current ecosystem, no matter what kind of ecosystem. I'll bring another example, and again from the cloud adoption world. When big companies started to push cloud, like Microsoft, like IBM, Amazon, Google, when they started to push cloud to enterprises, the first attempt was, oh, we need to move to cloud only concept. And the message was probably in different words, but message was like, okay, guys, you need to take everything and move to the cloud and keep running this in the cloud. It was probably the total disaster and failure. Okay, companies that tried to do this, they failed, and companies that wanted enterprises to do that also failed. So then the message was adjusted, and the new vocabulary was introduced to enterprises. And now whenever we move to any workload from enterprise to the cloud, we build it in a hybrid mode, in coexistence scenario, right? So enterprises see that they have no risk if they need to move back from the cloud on-prem. They can do that. They can leverage both ecosystems, their legacy ecosystem and the new cloud ecosystem. So when this message was addressed by those big vendors and enterprises understood it, the migration to cloud started to run with the speed of laser. And right now we have probably close to 80% of enterprises around the globe already consuming cloud services. If we will try to learn from that, and we will talk about blockchain adoption by enterprises and how we going to integrate the blockchain, doesn't matter what blockchain solution, with the enterprise ecosystem, the current enterprise ecosystem. If we will demonstrate this to executives that it will work and they have no risk to start adopting, even as a pilot, the new ecosystem, new blockchain solutions, then we will get much more acceptance to proceed with blockchain.
Thank you. So Jetham has a question. You can unmute and ask your question.
Can I ask a question?
Hi, can you all hear me? Hello.
Okay, who's gonna go first?
This is Jitim here. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So the thing is, so whenever I discuss about blockchain, the first point that comes in everybody's head is it's related to cryptocurrency, which is not the fact. And then if we try to advise them also, the challenge we face is there is no backing. In the sense, there is no application which is being consumed and being used by enterprises, which has a backing and a proof that, okay, this is indeed a technology where we have a lot of advantages. One silver lining which I see is like IBM with their product called Trust Your Supplier. What they did is they implemented in their own ecosystem, and they are showing the benefits out of it. So if we are talking to corporates or we are talking to enterprises, for us also we have very limited information. Obviously we can Google it, but we have very limited information of proper success story at a higher magnitude. There are obviously projects which are working in blockchain technology, but the thing is, when we go to talk to them, we don't have that backing. So where can we find success stories? Trust Your Supplier also, I Googled it and I got that detail, but that they are using in their own enterprise to come up with, to attract more corporates to adopt it. So where can we, I mean, like, is there some repository where we can see, okay, there are these corporates which are working on this, and we can use that repository to get people to embrace blockchain?
It's really interesting and challenging. And we just last week internally in DeepDive had this conversation, and we came to a conclusion that we're going to do our own research, and probably we'll be publishing the results of this research shortly. We'll see. We didn't decide yet if we will want to do this public. What we see a lot right now, that and you actually just voiced this, that there's not enough information and proof that blockchain is really get adopted by many companies and enterprises. If we will read and carefully will pay attention to words used by many organizations, we will see kind of written underlines that whatever they do with blockchain, it's currently at the stage of proof of concept. They're developing MVP product, they're experimenting, they do research. There is not, based on my knowledge, huge list of success stories that really 100% moved to blockchain, moved their production to the blockchain. Okay, I'm not saying that I guarantee that this is the case, Okay, probably we don't know about some use cases. Okay, and I'm pretty sure 100% there are some. Okay, that companies move to blockchain and really using blockchain in production 100%. 100% is it's there. Okay. For example, when we talk to enterprises that talking about blockchain, and when we asked the question about, Misha, please bring us examples, bring us success stories. So we just refer to the stories that currently available publicly. I would say IBM probably does one of the best jobs in this case by publishing success stories and talking about projects that they're working on. And I do believe that Hyperledger is probably one of the best blockchain solutions for enterprises nowadays. And we talk from our angle a lot, like from perspective, like we don't have too many success stories that we can bring to the table as a full demonstration. Okay, so we actually considering every client that works with us as a product development partner, if you will. Okay, and we just go with them on this journey, taking them through this digital transformation process and trying to develop blockchain solution for them together with them. Okay, not just by referencing to particular use case.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's the challenge. Basically, other than IBM, I couldn't find much which can give us backing to talk about this technology with enterprise companies. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Misha. Okay.
Yeah,
so I'm Mohammed. So I have two-part question. The first part is, since you're implementing blockchain, have you come across, for example, hospitals or governments where there's a cross-enterprise communication, right? Using enterprise blockchain. What if you have implemented such use case? What were the savings? You know, for example, I applied to some government, entities where we register, for example, a company, and we had to go through 3-4 companies, right? So if there's a space mistake in one of the addresses, the company entity A says go back and correct it, go to another entity B and get it corrected, right? The reason it's happening because there's no communication between entity A, entity B, and entity C, right? Because they're frightened about sharing the data, leaking the data. So I see there's a huge advantage of blockchain here. My question is, did you implement such cross-enterprise communication, or what do you call interoperability between two enterprises? If yes, what were the savings? Just an example. Second question is basically, what is your favorite blockchain project? Enterprise blockchain project. These two questions. Thank you.
So we didn't implement it yet in full production. We have multiple discussions with multiple projects that's supposed to start relatively soon. So it's we work and preparing this ecosystem. Okay, so it's more on pre-project phase. Okay, so we don't have this experience to say, oh, we did this for health industry. Okay, we do work with health ecosystem for many years. We have a tremendous experience working with health ecosystem back in Canada, and one of the biggest health industries, health ecosystem in Canada, with more than 60,000 people organization, not using blockchain right now. Okay, but we know their ecosystem really well. Like we know this domain. I probably would say on the levels that not so many organizations in the world would be able to declare so. So we know the flow, we know the processes, we know applications, we know everything. And this is probably one of the reasons why they're even talking to us about different aspects of technology. Okay.
So do you have any idea of the savings is going to have between legacy and the blockchain? If blockchain is implemented, what savings it can bring compared to legacy, legacy conventional systems? Yeah, potentially.
You know what? I will rephrase it a little bit. Okay, and I will bring another example, one story, like success story that we had, not about blockchain. Okay, in health industry. Okay, we implemented once a huge single sign-on ecosystem that allowed health organizations to address the single sign-on challenge. Okay, and where we took into in this ecosystem, if I'm not mistaken, like a few dozens of applications and services that were interconnected with the single sign-on. By doing that, just this one, when we finalized the project, it was proven that that organizations saved on average 1 working day for every medical personnel in the ecosystem. So think about this. Just 1 day, like it's about 8 hours a day, was 8 hours a week was saved just by implementing one small piece of single sign-on that doctors and other medical personnel shouldn't require every time to type their password again and again and again. Okay, even let's put aside the challenge to remember multiple passwords for multiple systems. Okay, this is just one use case. Okay, the savings, financial savings, was huge. It was almost impossible to calculate it, but not financial, just productivity, from productivity perspective, and from amount of life savings. Think about it. People dying actually because sometimes they're not getting treatment fast enough because it was a challenge for some doctor to authenticate in particular system. Just this one, like it's a huge benefit for the industry. Now let's apply this this use case to the blockchain. We're talking here probably, if I will say we're talking about multiplication by 100, it's probably going to be really underestimated. Okay, so it's going to be huge savings, not just financial, it's also operational savings and life savings. So this is why I'm really fascinating about bringing blockchain to the health industry, but it's probably not going to run really fast because the health industry is one of the most conservative industries in the world. So adoption of the new stuff in this industry takes time. Okay, and sometimes we're talking about years. What is really good as consequences of what's happening right now in the world, like this pandemic actually brought to society, it's not just the bad things. Actually, pandemic demonstrated right now a lot of issues, discovered actually a lot of issues that we had across multiple industries, including health. Okay, and I do believe that now multiple industries, not just health, will change the approach how they adopt new technologies. And this is probably the amazing opportunity for all of us to start all those conversations about blockchain adoption again, probably from different angle, but talk about it again to really demonstrate what and how it will help to the particular industry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello?
Well, I will ask one more question regarding now the two questions they asked that now we don't find any success story are the people who are doing like a Walmart or other industries are doing, they are doing with the IBM. That for sure will be very expensive and every enterprise can't afford that type of solution with the IBM. So currently as the industry, as people think the enterprise, they can't afford, so they find the blockchain as an expensive solution rather than giving the benefit in the future. But do you think that is it true? Means it's currently it looks very expensive solution to implement in terms of money as well as you have to compromise with the speed and these things.
It was expensive, and it moving, and the cost it's actually get reduced almost every day. You know, like about 20 years ago, the first DNA test cost, if I'm not mistaken, $14 million. One DNA test. Nowadays, I can do a full DNA test for less than $200. So when we talk about,
we have to wait till
it's actually coming. Like I remember that we had blockchain solution, blockchain projects that cost more than $2 million to implement for enterprise. And now nowadays we're talking about blockchain solutions, different concepts like blockchain as a service. This is where enterprises don't need to provision their own mainnet. They don't need to maintain entire blockchain ecosystem just to be able to use a blockchain. So blockchain as a service, this concept is stepping in and getting more and more popular. So with this approach, we're definitely going to see really soon that the cost of blockchain integration will go significantly low. And we are not talking even about hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's going to be much less, okay? So it definitely will come. And I don't expect that this change will happen like in a really far future. I do see that it will, we're probably going to see a significant price adjustment of those kind of projects even this year. So,
Hello.
yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you very much. It's very interesting. I have a question which is like regarding communication. You mentioned earlier that there's a lack of communication, there's a communication gap between the people that are on the blockchain side and enterprises and decision makers especially. So the language, the use of words and the way you explain the advantages, not you in person, but people in blockchain sector, there is definitely a communication gap, and that definitely needs to be worked on. I agree with you. But what about the word, the word blockchain itself? Do you think that do you think it's a threat to organizations? Because even the word itself is, very difficult for decision makers perhaps to understand what it's all about. What do you think if the actual word was somehow with time changed to something else more approachable?
It's actually already started to happen. And I see this pattern every time when I read the documentation or some research or documentation from big vendors. It's already started to happen. And right now, we try to change the replace word blockchain with the phrase distributed ledger. So DLT, this abbreviation, it looks like is getting to the point that it will replace blockchain in every documentation or every architecture design that is actually crafted for enterprises. So if we will go to HP website, if we will go to IBM, Hyperledger, Linux Foundation, Microsoft, Amazon, like all those vendors already started to use word distributed ledger, and they're avoiding word blockchain as much as they can. So it definitely will happen. My personal opinion, if you ask me, I would do everything possible to remove word blockchain, and will never put word blockchain in the same document that will be seen by executives from enterprises. Unfortunately, right now, again, it's my personal opinion. Unfortunately, right now, blockchain has a kind of negative connotation. Okay, and we can discuss is it true or not, probably forever, but this is kind of reality. And yes, I agree with you. We need to start using something new and kind of let it, disappear slowly from our vocabulary. My opinion.
Any other question?
Okay, I have a question if I'm allowed. I'm audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Misha, my question is, I mean, I'm just trying to go back to the earlier question that was regarding, it is almost since 2009 is when we've been hearing about blockchain. Now it is almost more than a decade now. The technologies in the space where people have been working on. Now, as you know, there are a lot of POCs have happened, and people have been working on the job and trying and see, whether they can accommodate the technology or the solution in their businesses. Now, again, we are saying that we are maybe in another 5-6 years of time for it to go in a big way. So, I mean, having spent almost more than a decade now, what do we think is one or two items, that are going to really give the impetus for it to take a shape where the adaptability is, typically the way it happens in many other technology products or services side?
So let me just repeat the question, just to be sure that I got it, because you were kind of breaking up on my side a little bit.
I'm sorry.
The question was like, what it gonna take to enterprises to adopt a new technology, like how fast it will happen. This is the main question.
Yeah, giving the time that it has consumed in the past, and then the amount of time that we have to wait going in future for it to get adopted. Yeah.
It's really hard to say. What I can say, like based on my experience, that every new technology get adopted faster than previous. Okay, I remember the internet adoption. It took like a lot of time. Okay, then I remember the big wave of virtualization, virtual servers, virtual applications, all that stuff. How much time it took to adopt this technology, and it was relatively quick. Cloud adoption, it was like again really much faster than virtualization adoption. If we will talk about serverless technology, all the Dockers, containers, all that stuff, this adoption of this technology happened almost instantly. Okay, like right now we have it almost everywhere. Like any kind of solution that we have, we have this sort of serverless ecosystem. With blockchain, it's going to be a challenge from that perspective, that I probably would say the moment when business will understand what the benefits of blockchain from the business side perspective, this is the moment when it's going to be kind of aha moment for a lot of executives. Yes, we need to move to blockchain, and then the adoption will start flying. Okay. I have example from the history. Back in the days when Microsoft for the first time announced about SharePoint. SharePoint adoption happened it was probably one of the biggest disasters that Microsoft ever had with the SharePoint adoption, and I'm talking about something like 2003, 2005, 2007, it was like the SharePoint adoption was almost zero. Okay, enterprises didn't want to do it. Those that tried to do it failed and threw this technology away. The moment when Microsoft changed the message and changed the way that they positioned SharePoint to enterprises, and I need to admit they did fantastic job on that. When this piece happened, then the SharePoint adoption started to happen like with the speed of laser. Nowadays, I can't even count one customer that we have that is not using SharePoint. Almost every enterprise currently in some way is using SharePoint. It will happen again with blockchain 100% when we will convey the message in the right way. And it will work as a compound effect. Okay, so for example, if I'm talking with many different organizations that providing different courses, and I get contacted by many organizations to be an instructor and run some sessions and trainings about blockchain. I see that this wave is like education about blockchain is going to like already with crazy speed. It actually is an indicator that enterprises willing to invest in people that they will learn new technology. So people by themselves spending time and money just to adopt a new knowledge and get certified in a new technology. So as a compound effect, we will see that enough people will understand and know blockchain. We as integrators and solution blockchain providers will change the way we talk about blockchain to organizations. When all this get together, we will see a big burst that blockchain adoption will start. This is my personal view. Make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Any other question? Okay, I will ask the last question. I think I will ask the honest opinion. What do you think the drawbacks of blockchain? Your honest opinion on that.
It's probably the most challenging question.
It's hard to implement.
If we're talking about hard to implement from perspective, like if we talk about vanilla implementation, I wouldn't say it's hard to implement. Integration probably with the legacy systems, it's definitely not the easiest piece. Okay. I would say lack of knowledge still, it's the biggest thing. Okay, that and I also observe a lot that many blockchain experts, they actually get to blockchain through crypto. Okay, and they have close to zero knowledge about the enterprise ecosystem. Okay, and they making a big negative impact on the blockchain adoption by enterprises. This is my personal view. This is what I see a lot. Then sometimes when I talk to those people, they have no clue even how enterprise thinks. Okay, what is really important for enterprise when enterprise decides on a new technology. Definitely enterprises are having nothing negative against the blockchain per se as a technology. It's probably lack of education. This is what stopping enterprises to move fast. So this is kind of all together. It's not one simple answer on that.
Do you think that the new evolution is coming day by day, the new releases are coming? These are also one of the challenge that enterprise are in wait and watch mode?
Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think that enterprise will jump on adoption of blockchain just because Hyperledger released a new version of Hyperledger. Okay. I don't believe that if EOS is releasing a new version of EOS OS, suddenly particular enterprise jumped on that and started to adopt it.
I mean to say that quick changes are coming day by day in the blockchain. So this is also a challenge for the adoption. Like they are waiting that something good should come, and we should wait for that new model should come, and then we should go with this. We wait for iPhone new model.
It's actually like it's a tough question because just on this question we probably need to have another presentation, another session, because just few hours to talk about the topic that you just touched, it's not enough. Okay, so we're definitely talking about continuous integration process. Okay, and if you're talking about the development life cycles, how we bring new updates, new features to the never stop business, this is something that we need to address. Unfortunately, many enterprises, and this is what we also need to keep in mind, they do not adopt the continuous integration concept yet. Okay, so many legacy enterprises, many legacy organizations still kind of from that perspective living in the past. Okay, I remember conversations where executives CIO said to me that he enforced their IT department do not implement patches on their system. I got almost a heart attack. Okay, and actually when we did the discovery, we saw that they didn't patch their systems for about 4 years. Okay, so yes, some enterprises still live in this mode, and blockchain will require us to have the different mindset of running business. But it's not just a blockchain, it's actually everything right now. Like we're talking about continuous integration and continuous improvement. This is something that actually changing the entire world. Especially one of the biggest drivers of the continuous improvement is actually cloud ecosystem. Again, if we'll take a look on Microsoft Office 365, like if enterprise wants to benefit from the new features of the Office 365 on a regular basis, they will be required to run updates and be constantly up to date with the system. Okay, so these new concepts, it's not new, but for many enterprises it's new, getting slowly adopted by enterprises, and actually blockchain will benefit on that. Like and maybe some enterprises will integrate software development life cycles, like approve the software development life cycles, will integrate continuous integration in their process when they will go with blockchain deployment as well. Okay, so it might happen. Yeah, for sure.
Any questions from the audience or participants? Do you want to? Thank you so much, Mr. Misha. Thank you for sharing. I think it was very good to have a session like this. I hope everyone has it will be helping every one of us. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And
thank you for inviting.
You're welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us, and especially thank you Mr. Mohammad Shah Nawaz for promoting this event on GBA UAE. Thank you. Have a good day ahead.